agenda, we'll get going here.
Yes.
That was good. All ready? My phone's ringing. Call the meeting to order. Everyone please rise for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May I have roll call, please?
Councilman Conjuras.
Here.
Councilwoman Peterson. Here. Councilman Tinella.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Vorga.
Here.
Mayor Sakala.
Here. Adequate notice of this meeting was duly provided to the Verona Cedar Grove Times and the Star Ledger by email and published in an annual schedule of meetings December 28th, 2018, filed with the Township Clerk, and posted on the public bulletin board in the municipal building lobby in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening, Mayor. Evening.
First item on the agenda under number 2 is extraordinary business of the Township Council, and it's a presentation to the Susan G. Komen Foundation. Ask Gina Fernicola and Marisa, can you come on up? And Nancy?
Yeah.
Sorry, didn't see you there. Good evening, and welcome to our town council meeting. We are very happy to be here this evening to present to you a check on behalf of the Susan G. Komen Foundation in the amount of $6,381. We have our check right here. This is as a result of the Real Panthers Wear Pink walk that we had this year. It was our 4th year. The rec department, led by Marisa Larry Jefferson, excuse me, put together once again. It was a very successful night. It was a lot of fun for a good cause. There were a lot of people came. We had a DJ. There was plenty of food that people were enjoying. A lot of people walking around the track. Everyone wearing pink, and it was a lot of fun. So we thank you, Marisa, for all your hard work. We thank Susan and Nancy. We thank the Susan G. Komen Foundation, and look forward to next year.
Thank you so much.
Like to say a few words?
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mayor Sakala and Nancy and Marisa and the Township of Cedar Grove. You guys have been so generous to Susan G. Komen, North Jersey over so many years by hosting the Real Panthers Wear Pink. It's an event that in October I know I look forward to every year. The whole community coming together really does remind you what's important. You're constantly reminded of breast cancer during October. Personally, I had a call two days ago. One of my close friends actually is 29 years old and diagnosed with stage 1 breast cancer. So all of these events really do help the communities we serve and helps us get one step closer to our mission to fighting breast cancer and finding a cure. 25% of the money raised in North Jersey supports global research initiatives as part of our charter. The other 75% stays locally and supports the 9 northern counties of New Jersey to provide education, survivorship program, patient navigation, diagnostic testing, screenings, and so much more. So we really can't thank you enough. Your contribution makes such a big difference in our communities, and just really appreciate your year-over-year support.
Thank you. Sure.
Yeah,
Hide my
Wash your hands.
Watch your head.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Wait, don't go away. I just have a few comments that I want to make before you leave. First of all, Marisa and Nancy, I want to thank you two ladies, first of all, for taking on this endeavor. 4 years ago, I asked you to do it. You took it, you ran with it, and you made it grow every year. And I can't thank you enough. It's extra special for me because it hit my household too. So, I have a very strong feeling in my heart for this. Also, I want to thank former Councilman Mike Mafucci, who originally initiated this and brought this on. I know this affected his household also. But every year, this thing has gotten bigger and better. And for the people out there, this does not only affect women, it affects men also. I know a number of men that have breast cancer. So it affects every one of us, touches our lives every day, but I can't say it enough for you two, because you put your heart and your soul in this, and I appreciate you more than you know. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, move on the agenda to item number 3, approval of minutes. Under 3A, may I have a motion to consider the approval of minutes of the regular public meeting September 10th, 2018? Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve, Mayor.
Is there a second?
Second that?
Is there any discussion? May I have roll call, please?
Councilman Camburis?
Recuse?
Councilwoman Peterson?
Yes.
Councilman Tinella?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Fargo?
Yes.
Mayor Sakala?
Yes. Item 3B, to consider approval of minutes of the regular public meeting of October 1st, 2018. May I have a motion, please?
Motion?
Is there a second?
Second that?
Any discussion? May I have roll call, please?
Councilman Camburis?
Yes.
Councilwoman Peterson?
Yes.
Councilman Tinella?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Fargo?
Yes.
Mayor Sakala?
Yes. The meeting is now open to residents of the township wishing to be heard on any item that is on the agenda. Seeing none, move on to the next item, reports of township officials. Mr. Tucci, good evening.
Good evening, Mayor. First item I have this evening is regarding the added assessments for this year. Tax assessor has given me a report. So far, our increased ratables are up $9,262,100 for this year. The pro rata revenue that's going to be generated based on the added assessments will be $145,490.09. The township share of that pro rata will be $113,737.16, which means we're going to realize $113,700 more through the collection, and the county share will be $31,752.93. So overall, added assessments, we did pretty well this year. Also, in the packet, I believe there is a memo from the police chief regarding the restricted handicap space on Bowden Road. I think it needs some modification just to put the permit number on the sign, so we're going to modify that ordinance if the council is amenable to that fact. Also, in the packet, you'll see a memo from me regarding the appointment of a new police officer in town. We have Officer Alan Rock, who has been appointed. He comes to us with a whole host of experience. So let me get to my memo here.
Got it?
Just give me 1 second. I got it. Okay. Mr. Rock has 14 years of experience, both as in the military police and the United States Air Force. He's a veteran. He served a couple of tours of duty, one in Iraq and one in Afghanistan. He earned an associate's degree in criminal justice from the Community College of the Air Force. He worked in 2 special operations, Operation Enduring Freedom and Operation New Dawn. He has the Air Force Commendation Medal, the Army Commendation Medal, the Air Force Achievement Medal, and the Air Force Good Conduct Medal. He also has 5 years of experience coming to us from the New Jersey State Police. He has a lot of relevant work experience, which fits right in, which we need at this point. He has Alcatraz 71110, Operations Certificate, DWI Standardized Field Sobriety, Horizontal Gaze Nystagmus Certificate, I don't know what that is, Radar Laser Certificate, Rifle Operation, Active Shooter Response Certificate, CPR, and Documentation Forward Certificates. Also, he was a trooper coach responsible for training interns and evaluating them while he was in the state police. He's a resident of Sparta, He resides there with his wife and 3 children, and we are very happy to have him on. He was sworn in by the clerk on October 15th, so he's already working his way through, just getting familiar with our town. As a state trooper, he worked up in Hope Township, where the state police monitored the everyday activities in the township. So he's familiar with township, not working just on a highway. He dealt with people, but we want to welcome him, and I just want to make the council aware that he is on with us, and I think it's a great find. We all talk about hiring veterans. Here we go. We put our words into action here in Cedar Grove. We owe this young man a debt of gratitude for serving for us. Also, in the packet, there's a memo regarding Harper Terrace Award of Engineering Design. I think there's a resolution on later on, and we're asking that you award it to Keller and Kirkpatrick. Also, I have here this evening, I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to distribute it because I just got it late. We had been asked to take a look at the mid-block crosswalk at Panther Park. I think, Deputy Mayor?
Yes.
We had talked to the county engineer, who told us that the county really doesn't like mid-block crosswalks, but go ahead and do your design, he said, and make a case. So what we did was, we went out, we hired a consulting engineering firm, Casey and Keller. They gave us a proposal of $6,600 to do the design, but in order for us to even get it, we're going to have to go through extensive hoops. It's going to have to be designed in accordance with NJDOT requirements, which means we're going to have to dig it out. We're going to have to put new concrete curbing there. It's going to have to be drainage improvements. We're going to have to put a solar-powered LED light crosswalk in there, new ADA ramps. We're going to have to put traffic calming textures on both sides so that everything slows down when people are getting to it, and then all new concrete sidewalk. The estimate on that is $67,562. And that's something we could look at in the capital improvement program if the governing body wants to move forward with it. But I just wanted to follow up because we had talked about it, we said it was coming, and we have the proposal.
Just a question, Mayor. Mr. Tucci, what is a mid-block crosswalk?
What it is, it's a crosswalk not at intersections, it's in the middle of the roadway.
Okay.
And what happens is,
Like we have out here in front of town?
like we have in the center of
PNC?
Pompton Avenue with the
Okay.
flashing lights.
Right,
And
right.
what happens is, when they're designed correctly, they're okay. But if you do it haphazard, you leave yourself open to liability.
Right.
And you have to do it right to protect, the people that are gonna cross there. Because crossing in the middle of the roadway is not the most desired thing. Like the county, their first reaction is, we frown upon that. But we know that it's something
That's done.
that's done, and at that location, you kind of need it because we have people running across between cars.
What's the county's, what is their alternative suggestion as opposed to just saying no and people just walk across blindly now? What's their suggestion?
Well, there is none.
There is none.
That's up to you, even though it's their roadway. And I'm not criticizing the county because we work hand in hand
Of
with them.
course.
But, I think the major concern is who's going to pick up the cost. I think, that's
Really?
the impression that I get.
That's so
But-
interesting.
But again, we're pursuing it.
Good.
We're gonna do the design if the council is agreeable to spend the $6,600, and then we'll put it in the capital budget and we'll bid it out, because I think even our police department, I had our traffic safety officer go out there, and he even agrees that, we could use something over there if it's done the right way.
Are there
And
any other
Mr.
options other than a mid-block crosswalk?
No.
There's not like an overpass type of, I'm not a designer, but,
I
No, I understand, you know,
No,
that-
it's a
it-
good
it-
question.
It
absolutely.
is an option, but I
we
don't.
talked about that years
Yeah,
ago,
yeah.
I remember. Is that cheaper to do it that way?
No,
That's
absolutely.
even more expensive.
That's even-
This is the least expensive option to pursue.
Exactly, 'cause
Okay.
with that, you're gonna build a bridge
Right.
over the top.
Mr. Tucci, I was saving this for my report, but since you brought this
I'm
up.
sorry I stole
There's
it.
been, there's been a request, about whether we can look into a similar mid-road crosswalk over by St. Catherine's. So I was going to.
Well, again, that is a different story. That we've investigated a number of times. And because of the proximity of where it is to the driveways and everything, that is an absolute flat out.
No? Okay.
That, or even our traffic safety officer deems that that's not a safe location because it's in close proximity to the corner intersection. It's close enough where you can walk to the corner and cross. So,
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, I'm sorry, Deputy
No,
Mayor.
that's okay.
Yes, I'm done. No, ma'am, there'll be an opportunity at the end of the meeting for you to.
No, it's
to-
about
to-
that.
You have to wait till the end of the meeting, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay?
Excuse me.
Mr. Tucci, let me first say this. Thank you for pursuing it as far as you have, because you know, we've talked numerous times about this, having, you know, my children down there and seeing other children
Right.
down there and how they run across back and forth. So first I want to say thank you for going as far as you've gone. You know, my thoughts are that, well, it may be if there's a grant that we could look into, and I'll throw that out there for some type of safety grant, if that's possible. But even if it's $67,000, I think if you save one life, right, it's well worth it, and it'll be there for years to come. So you're obviously not asking us to approve a $60,000
no,
expenditure right now.
I'm only
but-
asking for
but, for only for
$6,600
$6,000.
so that we could do the design, so that we can present it to the county and say, here, this is our case, this is why we need it.
This is why we need it.
Yeah, and I think it'd be money well spent. I think
Yeah.
the governing body, from what I'm hearing, I think
Yeah, I
you're
think-
you're pretty
Yes.
supportive of what
Any
Yeah,
obj-
and I-
any
and I-
objection?
we're proposing here.
Nope.
And I appreciate, you know, the support on this from all of my council colleagues, but, you know, I think it'll be well worth it, and connecting the two fields would be nice, safe route.
So is it okay for me to put a resolution on authorizing the design to Keller and Kirkpatrick
Yes,
for the
there's
next
no,
meeting?
I think we just, yep, yes.
Okay.
Mayor, just one other comment before we, not to beat a dead horse. On the St. Catherine's issue, is the response back to St. Catherine's to, if they have an issue with that, and obviously I'm parishioner there, so I see where the mayor's going, to hire a part-time officer to, when they have church services, is that
That's-
pretty much the answer back to them with
That's,
regard to
that's
that?
normally the procedure.
I know we
And
usually
probably
have one
the
around the
safe,
holidays.
the safest method
Right,
is to
right,
have an
something to talk
officer
about.
there to isolate the traffic.
I know cost is an issue, but I mean, that's something, okay, all right.
But again, with St. Catherine's, you have a couple of features that are inherent there. If you look at Bradford Avenue at that point, and I know somebody to my right knows this, it kind of crests a little bit, so you really don't see the cars coming over at the rate of speed. So there's a little bit different dynamic than down West Bradford Avenue. But that's been investigated at least 2 or 3 times since I've been
Okay.
here.
Thank you.
Okay.
Anything further, Mr. Tucci?
Yes, South End Fire Company just wants to let the governing body know that they're going to hold their annual coin toss, which will be held on December 2nd. We're going to have it from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., and it's to be at Ridge and Pompton Avenue. That's where they normally have it. And what happened was, years ago, I think they had it in, the governing body wanted to be notified, so now every year they let us know that they're going to have this. And the other thing is, I just want to give you an update, which I think you're going to be very happy to hear, on the schedule for Panther Park 2 behind LRP.
Oh, good.
Met with Kay Hovnanian. Wetlands, the LOI, and the FHA line verification were done October 24th. The DEP approval, they expect to have it in hand by March of this year. Engineering will be completed by the end of May. Revised engineering drawings will be sometime in May, and their anticipated start date of construction is July 1. So they're going to start on July 1, and they claim they should be substantially or 100% complete by November of the end of 19. So that's the schedule where we are right now. And just one more update on South End Fire Company, why we haven't seen the firehouse and the adjacent building raised by now. Hovnanian has to have all the utilities shut off for the buildings before they can be knocked down. So they put a permit in 2 months ago to PSE&G to shut off the gas. PSE&G needs a permit from NJDOT to cut Route 23 open. And at this point, it's 2 months DOT's been sitting on this. As a matter of fact, I called the folks that were here last week, our senator and our assembly people, and they are on it as we speak to try to get this thing done, because we need to get these buildings raised. KF Ananian is ready to go. All their contractors are ready to start the new building, let alone raise it. But all because DOT hasn't issued a permit for over 2 months. And they even showed me the application, which is dated 2 months ago. So I saw it with my own eyes. But that's where we are. But I just wanted to give you a status update on that. And I have one item for confidential PBA negotiations.
Thank you, Mr. Tucci. Ms. Stutz, good evening.
Good evening, Mayor. Just a couple of things. In the packet, there's an invitation, as a reminder, to the annual Interfaith Thanksgiving service that will be held this year, hosted by Community Church. That will be held on Tuesday, November 20th at 7:30 p.m. There's also a request in the packet from a new business opening up from Urgent Care. There's a ribbon cutting scheduled for Friday, November 30th from 3 to 5 p.m. And there has been a request for a proclamation, which we have not done for businesses in my tenure here. I don't know what the...
And I just want to reiterate what the clerk is saying. Normally, we do proclamations for special days, special occasions, but not for, I mean, normally we attend ceremonies for opening the bid, but doing proclamations, I think, is going to be a bit cumbersome for the governing body. So normally, we don't do it. It's up to
Yeah, I would
you
suggest-
how you want to handle it.
I would suggest that we keep with precedent, and we, you know, I mean, I'd be happy to attend,
Exactly.
and do a ribbon cutting, but I think in terms of proclamation, we should not begin that process. Good?
Thank you.
Agreed.
And the last item I have is just a reminder that tomorrow is the general election, and the polls will be open from 6 a.m. until 8 p.m.
Thank you.
Just one item I'd like to add on to my report, I forgot. I got a request from,
Your time is done.
I'm stealing part of your, like Congress, I'm taking part of your.
Yield your time.
It's time to- We have a request for a block party. Someone very familiar with us is putting his annual Christmas tree lights up, and he would like to close down his street. It's normally held on Union Street, but it's going to be a
Let's,
different location.
I think we should pull the residents of
But,
Patton Terrace.
I'm gonna let that resident explain for himself. Sorry.
Mr. Tucci, I appreciate you bringing that up. So this is interesting. So this is the first time that I've actually put in the request from this side. So I'll explain, sort of the request. What we do is we put up 30 to 40,000 Christmas lights on our house, and all of the proceeds that we raise and all of the toys that we gather go to Toys for Tots. So we've been working on it for several weeks now, and that night of the block party, we'll probably have anywhere around 200 to 300 people there, and we gather anywhere from 1,000 to 1,500 toys on that night alone. So it's a big event, and we do it for safety. We usually have the high school choir class come and sing Christmas carols, and this year I'm hoping to be able to have a DJ as well. So all are invited, all out there are invited as well. And it should be a good event. You'll see some notices going on around. So that is the request.
To be young and energetic.
Yeah.
Makes you tired.
Right?
So and it'll be a different show this year. It'll be good. So hopefully everybody can attend.
What's the date?
Good point. The date is December 1st, and it is at I put the request in for 6 o'clock, I believe.
You put from 6 to 10 on December 1st and 5 to 9.
And then the rain date, yeah. So
on the 2nd.
The event will start at 7, but I put the request in to close the street at 6 so we can get set up.
And the name of the street for the public?
It's Patton Terrace.
Okay.
So it's 30 Patton Terrace, and that's on Saturday night, and the rain date will be on Sunday, and the request is from 5 to 9, and we'll start it at 5. So I will obviously abstain from approving or not approving this request.
Is there any objection from the governing
No
body?
objection.
No objection?
Looking forward to it.
All right.
I defer my time back to the clerk.
Thank you all.
I'm done.
You're done? Thank you, Mrs. Stutz. Mr. Zelinski, good
Good
evening.
evening, Mayor. There is a memo in the packet regarding item number 9 on the agenda. That is the contract for the purchase of the Newark watershed property. The form of the contract has been approved by the city of Newark, their council, their attorney, I should say. They plan to execute the agreement after it is approved by the Cedar Grove Council, hopefully this evening.
Mayor, I just had one question.
Yes.
Mr. Zelinski, I'm just looking at it, and I know we were talking about it before. On Section 3, with their right to terminate, how would that come into play? I'm just looking at it here.
It would only come into play, we are doing the remediation, investigation
Right.
of the environmental condition of the property. The city of Newark has made it clear to us that it's our responsibility and our obligation to do it. We're doing it, we'll have the report. We will be the first one to see if there is any contamination, no one's anticipating any
Right.
contamination. And then once the town manager receives that report, he will convey it to the city of Newark, so we'll know what the extent of any there is.
And if any, they're responsible up to 50,000, anything over 50,000.
Could
then
be
they can-
negotiated.
we can negotiate. I know it doesn't say it in here, but we
Right.
still can
Certainly.
negotiate it.
Yes.
But we took the liberty of ordering that because time was of the essence
Right.
here. Because if we had to wait till everything approved, and then we would be beyond next year.
Mr. Deere, you took the liberty of ordering the environmental assessment?
Yes, it's
Okay.
going on as we speak.
Okay. All right.
Because otherwise, that would have curtailed this whole thing and threw us into next year. And I think the city of Newark, that was one of their caveats, that they wanted to get this at least buttoned up right before the end of the
They would
year.
like to close this transaction before year end.
I guess worst case scenario, if we did see a problem, we could always take it into our own hands rather than look to have it terminated. We can.
Right, you have the option to
supplement it.
negotiate it at that
Right,
point.
okay. All right.
And because I think this is a good point, because we talked about it somewhat earlier. The paragraph 3 says the $50,000 and the unilateral right to cancel if it exceeds that
Right.
50,000. I know we're not anticipating any environmental conditions, but around the structures, I'm just kind of thinking if there was a past oil tank or something like that,
Right.
that was there. If we were to request a modification now, does that delay it by weeks, or is it like a day?
The modification, it would delay it by at least 2
I'm just
weeks.
curious.
Well,
I'm
2
not-
weeks, because you would have to
2
take
weeks.
action at your next meeting.
Okay,
You're gonna need this action as the initiation.
okay. And
And
counsel,
I think
your
beyond that,
advice is,
look, beyond that, if the council ultimately determines that there is an environmental condition on the property and we'll take it and we'll take care of it and not require Newark to bear any of those costs, that's something the council can do.
It doesn't say it in here, that's the only reason I brought it up. So as long as we have that control, I'm okay.
See, there's 3 steps in this
Right.
process. There's this contract, there's the initiation of the introduction of the bond this evening, and there's the adoption of the bond, and then ultimately the sale of the bonds. After you do this, we have to do the bond sale in order to actually acquire the money.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Zelinski. Reports of council. Good evening, everybody. I have just a couple of things. One item I already covered with Mr. Tucci during his report. I just wanted to let Mr. Tucci know that Halloween night, there was, the Cedar Grove Police were out. They were
In
out.
full force.
Full force. They were passing out light sticks to all the kids, and we actually, in my travels with a group of third graders in a couple different parts of town, ran into a couple of different times, and they were very helpful, and the kids had a good feel from seeing their policemen out there, and they got a lot, kick out of getting the light sticks from them. So we appreciate the work that they did on Halloween night. I
Well,
wanted
the
to make sure I said
police
that.
chief is to be commended because he wanted to reassure the public that we were out there, and he wanted to make a presence. And it made everybody feel safe, I believe, and that was the main objective, to make everybody feel comfortable, and their focus was to concentrate on Halloween, not on other issues.
It was very well appreciated by everyone that I ran into.
Thank you.
And the other thing is, I'd like to see if the council would be interested in putting this in, up for further discussion, maybe at our next staff meeting. I was reading through the packet, and I noticed that the State Assembly recently passed, or actually on first reading, they still have a second reading pending, a bill which would permit municipalities at their discretion to issue 2 restaurant liquor licenses. Every municipality in New Jersey would have the ability, if certain requirements are met, to be able to do that. And I thought that with the restaurant that's been sitting vacant on Pompton Avenue, the new construction, I've heard, I haven't had any direct conversations with them, but I've heard that people are a little weary because there is no liquor license and there may not be any available, that maybe we should look into, if this bill passes. They expect it to pass on second reading at the next meeting, and then it'll go to the Senate. So there are certain requirements that a municipality needs to complete in order to be able to adopt an ordinance permitting this, and I just thought that maybe we can have a little further discussion on it, to see if it's something that we'd be interested
Can I
in.
make a suggestion? Normally, when we have these kind of things, we normally have a report done in-house, and the clerk here to my right is basically our resident expert on liquor licenses. She deals with them all the time. Maybe when that passes, maybe she can prepare a little report for the governing body as to procedure and steps, and this will give you some guidance how to move
Okay.
forward.
That's,
But
yeah. And I spoke to Ms. Stutz about it, and she said maybe at
Yeah.
the league, there might be further
That's what-
information that.
she'll
should able to
probably
get
be
for
the
us.
conduit who will get it first as the clerk.
Okay. Good, thank you. Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, just an update, we had our Craftoberfest, and, Mr. Tucci, I want to thank you for all of your help in coordinating all of that. It was seamless, from the coordination with the police and the crosswalk.
Light
and
systems work?
Light
okay?
system worked, and it was a great turnout. We heard a lot of positive feedback from our residents about the craft vendors, and next year we hope to make it even bigger. So I want to thank all of the residents who attended, all of the residents who supported all of the local vendors, and hopefully we'll be able to continue doing those events in our downtown area. The next, I want to provide the council with an update on the Bill Fearon memorial. So Tom and I have been working with the plaque maker to try to get the plaque 100% complete. Janice has approved it, and it's in fabrication.
Yes.
But what we want to do is, and in consultation with Janice, we want to make sure that the unveiling of the plaque is done right, that we have all of the right people are in attendance, and the memorial is fully complete. So, and that includes, make sure that all the plantings are complete, and there's a bench there, and, other things that Tom has some ideas on. And to do that, we'll have to wait a little bit. So I spoke with Janice, so we're gonna look to either June or September of next year to do that. She's okay with that. She would prefer that it be fully complete at the time of the unveiling, rather than sort of piecemeal it. And that way there's no rush, because there's some people that are gonna be flying in for it as well. So I'll keep the council updated on that, and when we get everything complete, and we'll have a date. I also want to thank the Cedar Grove Police Department. They actually coincidentally stopped where my family and I were trick-or-treating with our kids, and they came out and they provided glow sticks to all of the children. But even before that, we saw them circling, and you just had a general sense of safety. Their presence was felt, top to bottom. And before they even stopped, I noticed that. So I want to thank Chief Sarasa for doing that, and you, Mr. Tucci, because a lot of the residents noted that and commented on it. I also have another thank you to the Cedar Grove Police Department and the Cedar Grove Rescue Squad. So, somewhat of a personal story, but I want to make sure that that both squads are recognized. A few weeks ago, I was traveling for work. I was away. I was about 4 hours away. And I got a phone call from my wife at 1:30 in the morning, and everything is fine, but there was a medical situation with one of our children. And you want to talk about having a nerve-wracking phone call, knowing that you're 4 hours away, there's nothing that you can do, and you get a phone call, and there's a situation. I can tell you that the police officers showed up almost instantaneously. And I was watching on my cameras at my house, looking out, and on my Ring camera and my other cameras, they showed up almost instantaneously, assessed the situation. I didn't catch their names because I wasn't there. So if, maybe we can find that out, but whoever they are, I believe it's Officer Legas, and that's the only one that I know, but there were 3, and then the rescue squad came, immediately assessed the situation, and they took my son to the hospital in the ambulance. And the level of professionalism from our police department, the level of professionalism from our rescue squad, and the coordination that they had in such a stressful situation was top-notch. And I want to thank them for doing that, because it helped ease me a little bit while I was watching 4 hours away, knowing that I was helpless and couldn't do anything. So I just wanted to say that.
Is your son okay?
Everything is fine.
Which one?
It was Jackson. So it was my youngest one. It was my 2-year-old. And he was actually having a severe case of was it the croup, causing him to have difficulty breathing. So when they came, and I'm 4 hours away, and I hear the struggle of him breathing, we decided to call 911, and they showed up, and I think one of the officers instantly diagnosed it. This was our 3rd child, and we haven't dealt with anything like this, and it was scary. So fortunately everything is okay, but I really just, the level of professionalism is just unbelievable. So, and the care and the calm and, how they handled everything, just, you have so many different balls in the air when you're responding to a situation. You have a mother who's nervous, and you have a child who's crying and doesn't see all this. So I just was impeccable. So, thank you. And that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councilman Camboris?
Yes. I want to congratulate the Fletcher family on their new business, Cedar Beans. It's nice that residents are showing an interest in our downtown, and it's a nice place for us all to get together. And then on another note it's the peak mating season right now for the deer, and I asked you to be careful during dawn and dusk. They're traveling all over the place right now. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman Peterson?
Good evening, Mayor. I just have the Municipal Alliance Committee on November 15th is hosting Hidden in Plain Sight. So I just want to encourage everyone to come. It's at 7 o'clock at the Robert O'Toole Community Center. It's
What's the date? I'm sorry.
November 15th, next
Thank you.
Thursday. It's a program given by the DEA on the dangers that teenagers can hide things in their rooms, and ways that parents can look and find common items that are in your kids' rooms that might be drug paraphernalia or alcohol. So apparently from what I've heard, it's a great program. So I'd just like to encourage everyone who can make it to come. And that's it.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman
Report,
Tanilla?
Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councilman. Move on the agenda to item 7. I believe item 7, is that where you are? Sorry, 6, on the consent agenda.
Freebird,
Is that what that is?
that's
Yeah,
what that is.
Freebird.
You're kidding yourself.
I know that song.
You know what?
We take items 6A and B together, Mrs. Stutz?
You may.
Items 6A and B to consider resolution concerning approval of raffle application for St. Catherine's of Siena, and 6B to consider resolution concerning approval of raffle application for the West Essex Foundation for Education.
Be it resolved that said applications are hereby approved.
Make a motion to approve both items, Mayor.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Camburis?
Yes.
Councilwoman Peterson?
Yes.
Councilman Tanella?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Vargo?
Yes.
Mayor Sakala?
Yes. Item 6C, to consider resolution concerning appointment of an advisory health council member.
Be it resolved that Linda Schoner is hereby appointed as a member of the Advisory Health Council to fill an unexpired term effective immediately and terminating December 31st, 2019.
May I have a motion?
So moved?
Second?
Second?
Any discussion? May I have roll call, please?
Councilman Camburis?
Yes.
Councilwoman Peterson?
Yes.
Councilman Tanella?
Abstain.
Deputy Mayor Vargo?
Yes.
Mayor Sakala?
Yes. to consider, item 6D, to consider resolution concerning appointment of Downtown Advisory Board member.
Be it resolved that Andy Jennings is hereby appointed as a member of the Downtown Advisory Committee to fill an unexpired term effective immediately and terminating December 31st, 2020.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Is there any discussion? May I have roll call, please?
Councilman Camburas?
Yes.
Councilwoman Peterson?
Yes.
Councilman Tinella?
Abstain.
Deputy Mayor Vargo?
Yes.
Mayor Sakala?
Yes. And item 6E, to consider resolution concerning appointment of Recreation Advisory Board member.
Be it resolved that Sam Ventola is hereby appointed as a member of the Recreation Advisory Board to fill an unexpired term effective immediately and terminating December 31st, 2018.
Is there a motion?
Motion?
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? May I have roll call, please?
Councilman Camburas?
Yes.
Councilwoman Peterson?
Yes.
Councilman Tinella?
Abstain.
Deputy Mayor Vargo?
Abstain.
Mayor Sakala?
Yes. Under new business, item 7A, to consider introduction of pending ordinance number 18-833, amending Chapter 208 of the Township Code entitled Rent Control.
An ordinance amending Chapter 208 of the Township Code entitled Rent Control.
May I have a motion, please?
Mayor, I move for the introduction of pending ordinance 18833 to be published in full in the Verona Cedar Grove Times as a pending bond ordinance with a public hearing scheduled for December 3rd, 2018.
Second?
Just hold on one second. I'd just like to clarify that the motion, this is not a bond ordinance. This is just a.
Yes. What did I
Is
miss?
that,
Okay.
So this is just a motion to...
Introduce the ordinance.
To introduce the ordinance.
Yes.
Is there a motion?
Yes.
So-
Councilman Tinella?
Okay.
Moved.
Second?
Seconded was Deputy Mayor Vargo.
Any discussion? May I have roll call, please?
Councilman Camburas?
Yes.
Councilwoman Peterson?
Yes.
Councilman Tinella?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Vargo?
yes.
Mayor Sakala?
Yes. Under new business, item
Next one is not a bond ordinance.
Right.
B, 7B, to consider introduction of pending ordinance number 18-834, amending Chapter 251 of the Township Code entitled Vehicles and Traffic.
Mayor, I move to make the motion for introduction of pending ordinance number 18-834 to be published in full in the Verona Cedar Grove Times as a pending ordinance with a public hearing scheduled for December 3rd, 2018.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second?
Any discussion? May I have roll call, please?
Councilman Camburas?
Yes.
Councilwoman Peterson?
Yes.
Councilman Tinella?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Vargo?
Yes.
Mayor Sakala?
Yes. Item 7C, to consider introduction of pending bond ordinance number 18-835.
Mayor, I move ready?
Yes.
Mayor, I move introduction of pending bond ordinance 18-835 to be published in full in the Verona Cedar Grove Times as a pending bond ordinance with a public hearing scheduled for November 19th, 2018.
Second, Mayor.
Any discussion? May I have roll call, please?
Councilman Camburas?
Yes.
Councilwoman Peterson?
Yes.
Councilman Tinella?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Vargo?
Yes.
Mayor Sakala?
Yes. Item 7D is to consider resolution concerning amendment of 2018 capital budget.
Be it resolved that the 2018 capital budget be amended as follows. The project is the acquisition of property, estimated cost $11,525 million, debt authorized $10,975 million, and the down payment $550,000.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second?
Just a comment
Under
before we
discussion.
go on. The ordinance that was introduced earlier is for the purchase of the Newark watershed property, the 53 acres on Ridge Road. The second ordinance that we're doing is amending the capital bonding ordinance to allow for the down payment of the ordinance we did before. So what's happening is you're taking $550,000 from the Open Space Trust Fund and putting it down as a down payment with this ordinance for the first ordinance so that you can bond for the $11.5 million. Just an explanation for the council and the governing body and the general public, sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Tucci. May I have roll call, please?
Councilman Camburis?
Yes.
Councilwoman Peterson?
Yes.
Councilman Tinella?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Vargo?
Yes.
Mayor Sakala?
Yes. And item 7E, to consider resolution concerning cancellation of sewer charges.
Be it resolved that the sewer charges in the amount of $198.45 are hereby canceled for account number 2-1402700.
So moved, Mayor.
Is there a second?
Second?
Any discussion? May I have roll call, please?
Councilman Camburis?
Yes.
Councilwoman Peterson?
Yes.
Councilman Tinella?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Vargo?
Yes.
Mayor Sakala?
Yes. Item 8, approval of bills.
Be it resolved that the summary of bills having been duly audited and found correct are hereby ordered paid in the amount of $3,476,935.49.
Is there a motion?
So moved?
Second.
Comment?
Mr.
Just want
Tucci?
to advise the public and the governing body, $2.9 million of that approximate $3 million is to pay your county taxes, our share, for this quarter.
Thank you, Mr. Tucci. May I have roll call, please?
Councilman Camburis?
Yes.
Councilwoman Peterson?
Yes.
Councilman Tinella?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Vargo?
Yes.
Mayor Sakala?
Yes. Item number 9, under contracts and agreements, 9A, to consider resolution authorizing execution of contract with the City of Newark concerning the acquisition of property.
Be it resolved that the mayor is hereby authorized to execute an agreement between the Township of Cedar Grove and City of Newark concerning purchase of Newark watershed property located in Cedar Grove.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second, Mayor.
Any discussion? May I have roll call, please? Thank you.
Councilman Camburis?
Yes.
Councilwoman Peterson?
Yes.
Councilman Tinella?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Vargo?
Yes.
I got marbles in my mouth, sorry. Mayor Sakala?
Yes. Item 10, the meeting is now open to residents of the township wishing to be heard on any item on or off the agenda concerning township business. Yes, ma'am. Step up to the podium, please. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Luz Sotner. I'm resident of Cedar Grove, 38 Bowden Road. And my first question is about, or I wanted to inform about the crossing for Ponton. It's a very good idea. I'm gonna have a service dog next year. And I request when I have the mobility instruction to come to town to do my evaluation, they suggest me to request to the county road about a talking light in Ponton, right across from the town hall, because I usually cross the street and I'm gonna be crossing the street with my service dog to catch a bus. You know, sometimes I go to Newark or to Willowbrook Mall, and not on a daily basis, but during the week at least 3 times, all the times with the crossing guard is there. And it's very efficient to have a talking light. I did the building department was very accessible to me, and they wrote a letter in behalf of me through the town to request to the county road to the talking light. You know, it's a very, because we need to be inclusive. You know, we have children who have a wheelchair, all the people who want to cross the street, and I think it's an improvement for the town to have a talking light. If anything of you can do something about, I would be appreciated. I also want to be thank you to the police department and the town of Cedar Grove, because I have my parking spot for disabled in front of my house, which I needed, because Access Link usually come to pick me up, and they cannot go into my driveway, and usually it was a lot of parking there for the children of the high school, and it's very accessible for me right now. And I want to ask another question about Emotion was saying here last week about the committee, about the housing authority. The committee, they're going to do it to bring people to Trenton to talk about that. I would like information about that. I came to the Business Administration Office and request the information. One thing I would like to appoint is accessibility and inclusion is not only a ramp or a parking space or maybe a sign in a bathroom, you know, with the disabled sign. It's inclusive to the information. How do you give to the people with the disabilities, can be visually or hearing or physically impaired? Accessibility and the information is important because that's the only way we can be included. We need to have a very accessible information, especially nowadays it's a assistant technology with the information out of reach. I was very impressed for the building department, which I get information, and as soon I ask for the information, the service there was excellent for me because they magnify the information for me. They went into the computer and looked for the information because I really told them, you know, it's very difficult for me sometimes going to the computer unless I have, you know, assistant technology. And when I come to the town hall and I request information, I try to be as much independent as I can, you know, but if I come here to the town hall, can be me, can be somebody else, because everybody can go through disability or vision, from youngest to older people, you know. And, you know, when I try to get information, I came to the town hall to receive information. It's because it's hard for me to reach out over the phone. Sometimes you call over the phone and just a machine comes. Sometimes you go in the internet and you waiting long time. That's why I rather to go to the office and request the information for the public service who can give me the information more accessible to me. Thank you, all of you, for listening to me. I'm an advocate and I'm a family resource specialist for people with disabilities, especially for children and parents. I try to teach everybody about what is inclusion. Inclusion in the town is coming. It's coming with the sidewalk, with the light, talking light, with the accessibility, with the information, with the business. Everything need to be included. And I thank you for listening to me. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
I forgot something. Since I'm gonna have a service dog, I'm gonna be a volunteer and a CNI dog to make an education for children in the community about what is to be independent with a service dog. And eventually I will give you some information, and I think we can share this with the public. Thank you.
Thank you. Ma'am, I know you were looking for information about our group, a group of affordable housing or committee
They
going,
said-
that is planning to go to Trenton. There's no plan for that yet, but I will ask Councilman Tinella and Councilwoman Peterson, when that does come to fruition, that we make sure that we're able to broadcast that to as much of the community as possible, whenever that may be. Right.
Yeah, I leave my information and the business administration, you know, when that is being outreach for you, can let me know, then I spread the word between the community of people with disabilities here. And I also would like to form part of the committee, you know, to go to Trenton and get my voice out. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other residents wishing to be heard? I was getting worried that we weren't going to get up, Mr. Burns. It would have been 2 meetings in a row, and I would have had to check myself.
And I would have kept my mouth shut, only for one thing.
Yes.
Hello, Paul Burns, 2 Elm Drive, Cedar Grove. Mr. Tucci had his Panther Park. This has been passed, and apparently. My question is, where's the design? How come the neighbors haven't been notified? And well, I think that's pretty much, I don't want to go into too much, because I'm starting to get upset about it. But do we have a design of the park, the finished park, anywhere?
There is a design, Mr.
Mayor, if
Tucci.
I-
Yeah.
Was it submitted?
Actually, the final design hasn't been approved from DEP yet, so we don't have it. So we'll have the final review and the engineering plans back. It says the schedule, the first week in May is when we'll have the final plans as to what's going to
Okay.
happen. At that point, we'll release
So
everything.
anything we have now is just
It's
preliminary until they
Because it's
finalize.
subject to change because of the wetlands. That's why
Okay.
they're down at DEP now. So again, based on the itinerary that I explained earlier, first week in May, we should have something, the final plans that can be released to the public at that point, because that'll be the final design.
And then what is the process once we have the final plans to
Well, what's going to happen
disseminate
is we'll
the?
post them here, we'll probably put them in the library for the public to see or in town hall.
I'm sorry, Mr. Tucci, didn't I hear a shovel in the ground in July something?
Yes, they're going to start construction in July, but you're going to have from May to July to have public comment before that starts.
So we're gonna have a ballpark designed before we have anything, is that correct?
Yeah, we need a design before this whole thing starts.
Okay,
And
so
what happens is-
shovel in the ground is pending.
Right, again, this whole schedule this is the tentative schedule, and this is subject to change. Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure we weren't going forward, push before we had any discussion or a look-through. Okay, that's all I want.
That'll be forthcoming, Mr. Burns.
I know. Thank you.
Any other residents wishing to be heard?
Mayor, before you close out, that's one comment, if you might.
Absolutely.
I just wanted to recognize, the importance of the acquisition of this Newark watershed property. And I want to commend you, when you ran for council, you put this issue on the forefront, and we followed through. The council really rallied behind it. And I just want to, I'm not one for patting ourselves on the back, but I think this one really deserves it because it is, I think it's really a dream come true for the community in order for us to realize and acquire this property. I can remember when I first got involved in town government and sitting on the Open Space Trust Fund Committee and with the other volunteer members, that piece of property, this piece of property that we're going to acquire used to be the topic of discussion every month because we were so afraid that Newark at some point in time was going to maybe try to develop it from underneath us. And for us to come, fast forward to where we are today, to actually go ahead and have the opportunity and follow through on acquiring 53 acres that's going to remain open space, I think it's just a tremendous achievement. It was a real team effort from all of us, Mr. Tucci and everybody involved. But I didn't want to go without saying anything because it is such a, I think a big win for our community, and I'm so looking forward to just finalizing this, and I'm glad that Newark is, so eager to finalize it before the end of the year. It's music to my ears, so it's good. I just want to thank everybody, especially you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman. May I have authorization to go into executive session, whereas Section 8 of the Open Public Meetings Act permits the exclusion of the public from a meeting with the mayor and council in certain circumstances, and whereas the mayor and council of the Township of Cedar Grove are of the opinion that such circumstances exist, now therefore be it resolved by the mayor and council of the Township of Cedar Grove, County of Essex, State of New Jersey, that the public shall be excluded from discussion of any action on the executive session of the meeting of the mayor and council of November 5th, 2018. The general nature of the subject matter to be discussed is PBA negotiations. It is anticipated at this time that the above stated subject matter will be made public as soon thereafter, as it is deemed in the public interest to do so. This resolution shall take effect immediately. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second, Mayor.
Any discussion? May I have roll call, please?
Councilman Camburos?
Yes.
Councilwoman Peterson?
Yes.
Councilman Pinella?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Wargo?
Yes.
Mayor Sakala?
Yes, this meeting is adjourned. to executive session.